Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Dr.THREE. Thanks for bringing
Hi,
Trevor
nice
in.
to meet you.
Hi, Dr.THREE. Dr. Tom, how you doing? Thanks for coming here. I just wash my hands. Okay. Now, let me ask, is there a family history of this in the family?
Not-
Mom, dad,
not that I'm aware
grandparents,
of.
anybody with an eye drifting out or in?
Not that we know of.
And how long has Trevor had this problem? Are we talking months, years, most of his life? Since he was a baby?
It happens so
Because I
infrequent.
read the notes, but I couldn't pick up those details.
It happens so infrequently that neither of us noticed it until about a year ago.
Okay, so
I've
probably
noticed-
not as a little boy, you're saying. It's just been
Well,
occasionally.
if it happens so infrequent, he could have had it, but no one noticed.
Okay, all right.
I didn't notice it at birth, and I've noticed it for at least 1 year,
Okay.
probably a year and a half.
So is it staying infrequent?
Yep. And both the doctors have said that it's stable, that it's not getting worse or anything.
Okay, and they've seen him, I don't remember all the dates, for instance, both of them have observed him for how many months?
6 months.
First appointment was around August of last
Right.
year with Dr. Salovitz, and then we went back to see him in about 2 months. And around the same time we saw Dr. Cassidy, probably around October, and then again in December we saw both of them, I think around December, and both of their recommendations stayed the same, and they're both different. So they said that despite the glasses and the eye exercises, he's remained the same. He's remained the same without any type of intervention.
Okay. Well, let me take a look at a few things and then we'll talk. Part of the confusion is that his problem, they've told you, is an intermittent exotropia. You've even told me by your discussion it's intermittent. Sometime it isn't there, sometime it is. This is the hardest entity that I think I discuss, and maybe them also, because it's intermittent. And what I mean is, if there's less hard and fast treatment than there is for all the other things we see. If somebody comes in, their eyes out, we make sure good glasses, whatever, they need some appropriate surgery, sitting in. If their eyes all the way in, they've had appropriate glasses, things are fine. Eyes in here, they need some appropriate surgery, that's to straighten out. This is controversial, and we'll talk about that, because it's intermittent. This is where I and most other doctors, I don't want to say you get kind of dinged on, we have a website and it says, we read it now and then, make sure things are fine and complaints and follow-up. But you know, where parents and things talk about their visit. And it's the only thing that I'll notice on visits, it'll say, the doctor doesn't know what he's talking about. I brought him in, doctor said he was just perfectly normal, there's no problem at all, and I see that eye now and then drifting out. I hear that more than any other single complaint, and the truth is because in this, it just isn't there under all conditions. And in a way then, both of us are correct or true. It wasn't here when the child was here, but when they were outside or daydreaming or you're in the
I think
sun.
I read that.
All of a
I think I
sudden
read
it's
that on
out
your
and the parent,
website.
look at that. Or grandma goes, oh, there it is. Gets in another doctor. They don't know what they're doing in it. Well, it's intermittent exotropia. I'm just mentioning
Right.
this because it's now, sometimes it can go away. That's why it's followed. It can go away as mysteriously as it's come. Sometime it can stay the same. Those are problematic. One reason you might be here because it's like they followed and it hasn't gone away, but it's not getting worse, but we kind of see it here and it's just staying that way. That's difficult because that depends on, well, how often is it? And what I'm saying is that that's always sometimes difficult to treat. And then there's the one where it just gets more and more and more frequent, which then it's more obvious, sometimes even going to constant, and most doctors enter agreement and parents, yeah, we need to maybe do something about other children are noticing and so on and so forth. So we'll go ahead and take a look. Now, are the glasses for his vision or part of the treatment
Both.
for the exotropia. They can be for both.
I don't believe that they're for both. Dr. Salovitz felt that he did not need them at all, and he did not need the eye exercises. And Dr. Cassidy did not feel that Trevor needed them for vision. Dr. Cassidy's approach is the glasses to overcorrect him, and also the eye exercises.
Right. Now-
So they weren't needed for vision.
Right. Sometimes I do this, but only if it works.
The other
In other words, and we're going to look in a moment, if they have this problem and now I've put the glasses on and it's perfectly normal and both me and you never see a problem, then I let them wear the glasses.
The other thing, the reason they both have said, both of the doctors said that the tinting of those glasses does help them. Both of them have said that. So the tinting is an
Okay.
important factor.
But I will tell you that if we put the glasses on and there's really the same amount of this exotropia, you're seeing it, then they're not really doing very much. I'm just saying, if
alright.
That
they're
makes
either
sense.
going to make,
That makes sense.
it's either going to be, you're going to say, well, you know, I don't really see much of a change here, or you're going to say, well, they're perfectly straight all the time. There's one or two of the, if it doesn't make it perfect, then I quite honestly, I take them away. It may be a little bit of an expense, but it's a conservative way to go before one would have to maybe go to surgery or more extreme.
So I never observe him. I know how to trick him into doing it, but I've never observed him in the real world ever doing it. And
Okay.
she's observed it
I've
only a
observed
few
him
times.
many
the
A few
glasses
times.
on, and so you haven't seen it, and with the glasses on, he's okay?
Either before or after
Oh,
the
okay.
glasses.
So you've just seen him as having good straight eyes.
That's right.
Okay, and you've just
I-
seen him more often,
I have
or under different
seen it.
conditions, or?
No, I've just seen it, just sitting at the dinner table with him. He's looking at me and one eye is 45 out. It's clear as day. And other family members of mine have seen it.
Okay. With the
So-
glasses and without?
Yeah, both.
And other family members of mine have not seen it at all.
Okay. Let me ask you, some boys know, are you ever aware of an eye, one or the other, ever kind of drifting out? No, you don't see double, or it doesn't bother you, you don't have blurred vision, or you don't get a headache or anything like that. So mom might see it out, but you don't know it's out? Are you able to control it? If she says it's out, do you close your eyes and then you kind of, somehow it's more straight? Okay. And what grade are you in?
Second.
How you doing?
Okay.
You have a lot of friends? You like your teacher? Okay. Any of your friends ever tell you they see one of your eyes drifting out? No. Teacher ever mention it? No. Okay. And that's not been a problem with friends or playmates, or they're very honest, but they can be cruel sometimes too if they see something. Just can mention it all the time, but no.
Teachers never mention
Okay,
it.
and
at all.
other friends don't, okay. Well, can we check a few things? I'm not gonna check everything. I'm not gonna dilate your eyes. I've read through the charts. They've done
I'm
that
not
many,
going
many
to.
times.
Yeah, they've already
Well,
done it.
I don't know. I don't think we always have to do that. Let's give them some
Thank you.
things to read here, because we just should, okay. Just center on what we're concerned about. You wanna read some of those for me? I'm just gonna put my hand here to hold your head. You wanna read? H, B,
H B P H T V L N E.
okay, one more time. H, B, I know it's boring, but,
P H T V L N E.
okay, and once more.
H B P H T V L N E.
Alright. Okay, now how about some of these up close?
H A L T N C O L H A E C T N O C L O H.
Alright. Now, do you see the eyes equally out, or do you see more of the left one or more of the right one? What would you say?
I guess I've seen more of the right, his right.
Okay, you mean
Yeah,
this one over
correct.
here. Okay. Well, let's have you read again. I'm going to do this for a little while because I want to see how you do with this. Go ahead, read.
H B P H T V L N E.
Alright.
H B T H T
Good, once more. And once more. And again. Okay. You could put down at distance. He has an intermittent, alternating exotropia. You want to read a few of these? This is with his glasses on. Okay. And he has an exophoria near with his glasses on. Can we take your glasses off? Oh, look, hardly any scratches on that. Obviously, you're in good shape. Now, can you read a few of those without? I know that's not so comfortable, but go ahead. Once more. Again. And then read a few of these. And he has the same thing you can put down. Same exam without his glasses. In other words, today it was pretty much the same. So although if he likes them, he's got some transitions in him, there doesn't seem to be any harm. His vision is excellent through the glasses. Follow my light. In other words, he doesn't have a huge amount. He only has a -1, so that's not a huge amount of accommodation, especially for a youngster his age.
One doctor, though, Dr. Salovitz, felt that the glasses were not helpful because he already had a tendency toward nearsightedness, and it was making him increased nearsighted.
It's a small amount. It's not unusual to go with a -2, -3, so I'm just saying -1 is not very much accommodation. He has, I'm not, and I don't want to overdo, because some of these things have to also do, and I'm sure they have. I mean, I've read their notes, but I don't. Some of it has to do with comments where somebody's been seen a few times. Remember, I'm just taking a look here.
Right.
Each one of them may say, "Oh, I'm seeing it get worse," as far as I'm concerned, in my notes and what I see and what I'm just telling you what I see at the moment.
We're asking for your
so
opinion. So
you know what I'm saying. Some of those things that you're asking me. And pupils are fine, and versions are fine,
and you have a nice smile. So you would say that he does need that his eyes aren't exactly perfect, but they're just a minimal correction.
Pardon me?
You would say that his eyes aren't perfect, like no correction needed. That he was without the glasses, a -1.
Well, I don't know. What did we get without his glasses?
Without his 2060.
Before he wasn't like that.
Oh, okay. Well, then he just became dependent on that. But let's just see. Once again, we can use all of these. Just a second here.
But we never had his eyes tested before we would start going to the doctor, so we don't really know.
Right. But initially, when he went in before his glasses, wasn't his vision 20/20?
Yes.
According to the doctor that wants to operate on him.
Yeah, no.
Only that doctor.
Both doctors said that he didn't need glasses.
Yeah, I mean, some of this is just a little bit of... There is a little blurring because he has the -1 and his accommodation, and it can take a little while to relax from that. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't... does he like the fact that they're tinted with transitions, right?
Yeah.
Right. I don't think he particularly likes to wear them, but having the tinted is helpful. Or a hat. But the same thing can be done with sunglasses or a hat. He doesn't need to wear glasses.
HAOF.
Okay, baby can read that in the waiting room. What about that? What do you think, Trevor?
EON.
Yeah.
E.
The other thing is this can change over time too. Do you wear glasses or contacts?
I used to, yeah.
And see, once again, maybe he's becoming a little bit nearsighted. I mean, it can be in the genes too. And you say, well, he wasn't before, but 4 to 6 months can make the difference with a -1. I mean, in other words, I can't tease out perfectly right at the moment, although I could relook at what the prescriptions were. He could have.
He didn't have glasses before
Right,
this.
and
There
this could
wasn't
be part of him just becoming a little bit nearsighted. I mean, most people who are wearing these glasses, and it's for their exotropia, when they take them off, they're okay. They have 20/20 vision. You know, it's not that they're really normally nearsighted. They're just using it so that we put this on. They have to over-accommodate a little and bring their eyes.
My understanding is that he's actually better up close than he is farther away. Is that true? Is that?
Well, you mean normally he's been?
Yeah, I think that it seems as if up close he's able to maintain alignment better, and that deteriorates farther away.
Well, that's true, but that's just because he uses his convergence. See, we all can, now I'm converging. He uses the convergence to control his eyes going out close. He doesn't have that in the distance. So you will notice that he looks like it's worse at distance and a little, we found today, just like you said, less here. But if we interrupt the convergence, which we tend to do if we need to, with a patch for 20 minutes, and we take it away, we'll find usually the same thing at distance in here. In other words, he's just using his natural convergence to help him with the near task. So much of the decision is based on how's he doing at distance. And what I'm seeing is that, I mean, like at the moment, I'm seeing that the glasses do help his vision. It may be that he needs this because he is nearsighted, although I could look over the records a little bit, see what they had seen as his prescription.
Would you mind doing that?
Sure, in other visits. I can tell you, seeing him at the moment, I don't see that the glasses are helping his exotropia. In other words, at the moment as he comes in here, they look like yours and mine. They're giving him great vision. He's got great vision. He's like an eagle 2015 with his glasses on. But the ability to help him control this exotropia doesn't seem to be any more or less with his glasses on.
Right, what
So
about that?
I could look at this and say, I think he has glasses because of this early amount of nearsightedness. They're helping him. He would tell you he does seem to have better vision, right? You see better with your glasses on, don't you? Yeah, and the exotropia is there. The more I dissociate him, the more you see it, and you can do that. See, in other words, you can block the binocularity. What you're talking about most of the time is what do you see it in normal circumstances. It was not easy for me to dissociate him. When I let him read a lot on his own, I did not see his eye or eyes drifting out. He was quite straight until I started breaking up his fusion, and now he has a tendency, we all have a little tendency, see, for the eyes to drift once you've gone ahead. And you have to watch that because lawsuits have occurred, and you say, oh, how could that be? Well, you can have a normal child who has no eye muscle problems, and they can come in because of an abrasion, and you can patch them. That's the normal treatment, patch overnight. And they've had cases where you take the patch off and, oh my goodness, their eye is in, and now it stays in. Now sometimes they have to have eye muscle surgery, and the person says, well, my kid didn't have that when he walked in a well, you patched, and in some kids with delicate enough fusion, you interrupted the fusion with the patch 24 hours or 48 hours that now you do have an eye muscle problem. So they said, well, that's terrible. How do you get away? You just have to talk to the parents. That's one of the risks of patching a little kid. But he needed it for the abrasion. But it's better, you know, if people know what could happen, it's always better for everybody than a surprise, right?
So I've noticed that the mostly the tint, not so much the glass correction, but the tinting has helped him. Like if in a bright.
It can. I mean, he has a little bit of tint, and he likes it, I'm sure, outside, right? The
Well,
transitions.
like sometimes when I'm taking pictures of him, I'll take the glasses on just so I can take a picture of him. And if it's a bright day, he'll start squinting and rubbing his eyes and stuff like that. Whereas when it's a bright day and he doesn't have the glasses on, he's fine.
You want to put a movie on? We have Train Your Dragon. Have you seen that movie, Train Your Dragon?
No, I
No.
don't think so.
Okay, well, do we have anything you can look at? Just go ahead and look at that movie for a moment. And maybe in just a minute so I can see it here. You've never seen that movie? No. Have you seen Frozen? Is it worth me going to see? It's supposed to be a great movie, but
What about Nuts, Trevor? The movie Nuts?
that's another movie people say is pretty good. Okay. He's doing fine as he's looking down. What do I see so far? I mean, I see that he has this intermittent exotropia. The glasses, I think, are mostly there for vision and comfort, and he seems to like them. I am seeing this only occasionally, naturally, as I sit here and he views with both eyes. We can break him up with the paddle or my hands and cause him to be worse than he would be, and then he regains fusion. That's what he's doing. If it goes out, you can see this more in the sunlight, because if he goes out in the sunlight, see, he's losing his fusion. He doesn't have good objects to focus on. Even if I have that happen, my eye doesn't go out or in, but in him it's enough to give him a dissociation, and for a moment his eye may drift out. He says, oh look, your eyes are something. He closes it, whatever, he regains fusion, and there he is. And he has this fusion because we already know he hasn't had this really his whole life. This is just something more recently. He has good fusion. He wants to put the two eyes together. I think you've done as much as you can do with regard to treatment. I mean, he has these glasses on. You're saying, Mom is saying this has gotten a little worse, but maybe kind of stable over the last couple of months.
The percentages we've been given are 5% improve, 65 stay the same, and 35 get worse. So with those kind of percentages, it seems it doesn't look very promising.
Well, it may not, but I mean, I don't, if I'm managing him or he's the first time in here, I mean, like they're doing, I think you just, he doesn't control this, and you or I don't. Part of it, you're going to see what you see. I mean, if this gets worse, it's not iffy. You're going to know, oh my goodness, every time I look at you, it's out. You're going to see it. The doctor's
By
going
that
to
point,
see it.
won't he have lost, say, some depth perception
No,
or
not that
something?
we know. He would regain it. It's not that, because he's not always at. What you're really looking is he has intermittent exotropia, and the question is this problem going to be less intermittent? And once you begin to get that sense of that, you then can see he's on that other group. I mean, I don't usually seeing somebody, if I see them 2 or 3 times and I see, and parents have said, and it's pretty obvious that now they're sitting in the room and I catch him, he's already dissociated, whereas before I never did. I already know it's worsening, but I still know that he's fusing. First of all, we mentioned he's fusing all the time at near with his convergence. So
Fusing means alignment.
Alignment. So he's pretty well aligned all the time anyway. Even if this goes off, he's not going to lose his fusion, because he's already, look, I have my, it's just that he's telling you that it's rolling off, it's getting worse, but you see, this is the controversial, even if you read all the literature, there's nothing, I mean, if it gets worse and worse, in the sense that you're seeing this more frequently, other people are seeing it more frequently, then it's a little bit of a decision by the family. It's nothing hard and fast as far as, like, you'd say, well, when should we operate? Well, quite frankly, some parents say, well, I'm seeing it's getting worse, he's in the worst category, let's do something. Time to then operate. If other people say, well, I see it a little more, but you know, friends don't see it, and he doesn't complain of anything, and he's not complaining double vision, which he would if it was out most of the time, certainly, then I want to go ahead and continue. I'm more conservative. But there's no hard and
So if
fast.
this was your kid, would you operate on him today?
I would just follow him, and if I saw that his dissociation problem, I can tell you in my experience, If I saw that he was dissociating more and more, and I saw that a visit or two, his eye was out, that I see spontaneously and naturally, and you tend to tell me I'm seeing this more and more frequent, I think he's in the surgical category.
All right, but not right now.
I'd wait.
Right.
Now, you could say, I want this done, I want something done now. I think the success rate of going in and doing something now is probably very high too. I've always waited until sometime you pick an arbitrary thing. You know, and there's nothing hard. If about half the time or more you're looking at him, he just seems to be somewhat dissociated.
Okay. But he's not even remotely close to 50%.
Not what I'm seeing.
Right.
But I'm only with him
Yeah.
for this 20-minute. Because your question would be, well, what if we wait? I'm not aware that you're going to cause him any harm at the present time.
All right.
What about the degradation of depth perception?
Depth perception plays no role in distance vision. Never does. Depth perception is within usually about 6 feet. All stereo. Most of it's right here. When we talk about, we say, well, no, when we're driving, no, that's not depth perception. If you see the end of a football field, they don't have any depth perception. After 20 feet, most people they're using monocular clues. When we do all the depth perception tests, they're like this. And he's going to retain that in here just because he has control with his convergence. You wouldn't lose depth perception until you're really starting to see one eye almost constantly out.
All right. So
I mean, part of what you're doing is just trying to see, is he going to, I mean, you mentioned, is he going to get better? Is it going to be stable? Or is it going to deteriorate? Honestly, the trickiest part is if you're stable. Because, you know, guess what? If you start seeing it less, and the doctors measure, oh, it's gone. And you say, could that happen? We've seen it. Or it deteriorates. Well, okay, next step is a little bit more radical. We need to do surgery. The tricky is kind of in the middle. Because I still think, my experience, we would just wait. But you can see some parents could be, well, we see it, it's not getting worse, but it's not getting any better. That's really like a controversial, because there's no hard and fast. The other two are easier for everybody to answer. But you haven't waited. I mean, you say, well, how long would people? You haven't waited years.
Yeah.
We see some people with this problem, they're waiting a year or two.
But this problem is
how
a
it
brain processing issue, right? It's how his brain is helping his eyes work together.
We don't know the actual cause of this.
Oh, okay.
I could make something up, but we don't
No,
really
you don't need to
know.
do that.
The reason we don't know is we don't know how people normally have perfect binocularity, say us. So we don't know as much as we'd like to about those who lose it.
All right.
I mean, we know a lot of things more than we used to, but not, you say, what specifically is causing this? This is actually, however, I will tell you, this is one of those kind of eye muscle problems that if I had to have an eye muscle problem, this is the one I would want, because you already have a very good sensorium. You're used to putting the vision and the images together. This usually has, following surgery, for instance, very high success rate. 80-90% in my hands, most other people with one surgery, 10% sometimes have to have a second surgery. But the number that go on to a third surgery is very tiny. Most people after this, I mean, the last child I saw that had this problem, I saw post-operative this morning, and she had an intermittent exotropia, very large, had surgery a few weeks ago. She's been straight since, and many people were in that category because they want to fuse. His position of rest and what he's really used to is his two eyes straight. Now and then it deviates. So if it rolls off or he needs to have some help, with that help, he's usually going to go ahead and fuse. I would rather have this than a little child that comes in and their eye is in and mom and dad tell us, well, they were born with that. Well, sometimes you straighten their eyes and sometimes they wander.
Will his brain, as this goes on, say it doesn't improve, it stays the same or deteriorates? Right now his brain is attempting to correct that. And
As much as it can. Sometimes it drifts off. And when it drifts off for a moment, he cuts the central vision of that eye. That's why he doesn't say he sees double vision. In other words,
He has
great,
told me that before.
well, sometime
in
you
the
can, but
past.
sometimes as it moves off, the brain will dull some of the central vision, so it doesn't say, because he's not in here with a patch. If you had an eye now as visual maturity and your eye deviated, you'd be in here with the old patch on all the time. You can't tolerate anything being out. It's just not, let's just show you. If you got hit in the head, God forbid, and you got a palsy, and your eye went ahead and drifted down or off, and it can, remember, because you were hitting it, whatever. I'm just making you. No, glasses on. But how long are you going to tolerate this?
Not too long.
Right? Are you going to tolerate this?
No.
No, you can't fuse
Right.
like
yeah.
he can. I mean, that's just part of youth and whatever. So, what do I think you should do? I think you've done what you can. I think you're you know, there are. I can't say for the doctors. I mean, there's two different approaches. One thing I would say is the, you know, just asking questions of you. The doctor, was it Cassidy who mentioned the glasses and right? Okay, what was his next step if those didn't work?
Operate.
Which don't seem like
Surgery.
they've been.
It was
Well,
surgical.
so they're really on. I'm just saying one's taken one more step, but
Right.
it seemed like
They're
that
on the
were.
same
Seems
path.
to me like they were going in the same direction. So
And there's been no change since
okay,
August.
so I think they're just they may be holding pattern. I don't know about the other gentleman, but he might have said, honestly, just hearing this, he might have said, if you want to proceed, I've seen enough, it didn't go, we'll proceed. He said, if you don't want to or want to, we'll follow it. It probably has given you both
The other doctor?
those options.
No, the first doctor was done. He said, if you want to have a procedure done, call me and we'll schedule it. Because he, right out the gate, he felt that he needed a procedure because the displacement was so large of his eyes. So that's what he felt. And there's a whole, they're all in the same field. They all practice the same. They all go toward that path. And Dr. Cassidy was
And
the
you
only
know
one.
there are different schools of thought.
Mhm.
I can tell you, just if you want to say, well, what do I think or whatever. In my training, it has more to do with the intermittency. I don't care whether it's a small amount, a bigger amount, a lot amount, how intermittent is it? Because you're either going to have something never intermittent or boy, it's constantly there. And I haven't necessarily seen a problem like because it was a small going out versus a bigger going out, it still came down to intermittency. Because see, the amount, that's just what the surgeon takes care of.
Oh,
In
you
other
mean
words,
the amount of the alignment.
let's say his has been going out 25 prism diopters. And if they're going to start, often they will start with, you don't have to, but they may recess the outer muscles here. That's a standard often, recessing these outer muscles. Now, if it's going out 25, they may end up putting these out back 4 millimeters. Let's say it's going out 45 degrees. This is a measure of going out. And I put these back 6 millimeter. In other words, it's the intermittency that for me, like the other doctor said, okay, now we're going to be doing surgery. It's gone from just occasional to more and more and more. I'm not influenced so much on the amount.
Right.
Because remember, to me, if you, let's say you had a huge amount, it was drifting off, but it happened once a year. All right.
So people live
I'm
with
not
this.
going to do
Yeah.
anything on and upset the apple cart, the other 99% of the person's fusion. I'm not trying to, everybody has different training, but I'm not so thing about the amount. That'll be taken care of surgically. But I'm more interested in this constant versus intermittent. And that's what you're seeing too.
So
But
people-
everybody has a different school of thought, and you have to understand something too with people who are surgeons, and we are, although ophthalmologists, they're not like, they're in the operating room once a week. We're not orthopedic surgeons, we're not there every day. There's a spectrum in surgery, you know this of every surgeon, from so conservative, person's never been in the OR, although they do surgery, to, my goodness, everything that walks in the office, let's get them on the schedule now. Most people are kind of right in the middle, like you would think. I mean, they're not gonna be the first they wanna see it, they wanna take some measurements, and then they're gonna offer that.
So people can live with this issue their entire life, right, and get by.
People can live with this for a long time. And how do we know it? Well, we've had some people that come up from Mexico or other places that have had this for 9 years. It may have now gotten worse. They want something done, or maybe they just want some new glasses. They have it. We talk about it. They say he's always had that level of this. We don't want anything done. And now he's talking and he's 16. Do your friends ever see it? No. All right, you put it in the chart and you see him next year.
All right.
It can change though at any point in life. Is that right? You don't know if it's going to change. How many adults do you think have to have it or have it redone if they've had it done as a kid? Do you know?
Once this is straight, the necessity of redoing this as an adult is very small. We're talking a few percent. This isn't something that the adults that we tend to operate on with exotropia in general tend to be those people, intermittent it came up or they had it constant, that have never had surgery before. It wasn't available, they're from a small town, people said forget it, the pediatrician, we don't, we're here in wherever in Nebraska, that's not a huge issue for us. And they never visited.
But they would have it more than 5 minutes in a day or 10 minutes in a day.
Well, they might have it all the time.
Right.
They get it operated on because it's there all the time, or they getting jobs and they don't like that. And we're not in that. None of us in here, and especially you're not in that category. I mean, I already see that you're concerned. You're going to have him seen frequently, and that could mean 4 to 6 months, something like that, at least initially. See where it's going, and then if you probably feel things are worse, you're probably going to want something
So
done.
right now, Dr. Cassidy is seeing him about every 4 months. So
I think that's fine.
Probably the best way to go.
My sense of this is that you maybe going a little bit more, well, I agree too. I would see with Dr. Cassidy, I think if he sees some deterioration, he's going to talk to you again about doing something surgical. I agree with that.
Right.
They probably told you the healing from this is overnight, a few days,
Yeah,
2 weeks at
couple
most.
days.
No swimming for 2 weeks. We do adults. The adults go back to work or school a day or or two later. No patches, medications to put in, Tylenol after surgery.
All right.
And we know it isn't so bad. Have I had it done? No. But we do enough adults. They're not on painkillers. They're not on narcotics. Some are troops. They got to get back to their maneuvers. Really, I did a lot of this in Temple, which is off of Fort Hood and near Killeen in Texas. Scott and White is the big organization there. And they had to get back to Fort Hood and ship out.
If we wanted to get him away from the glasses, since the original intent of the glasses was not for vision, it was for the exotropia, how would we, because Dr. Saladitz had said that he may need glasses, but not for several more years. Is there a way to get him off the glasses now?
I think if you wanted to do that, you could take the glasses away and just, you'll do the best you can, and things will gradually get back where they were, and he could be refracted in 4 to 6 weeks, and that would be basically his baseline state.
Right.
Where he is. He would have gotten his accommodation back, and then you'd solve whether it's some nearsightedness or whatever.
But if we didn't want to get him away from the glasses, do you think if you had to make a decision, are the glasses a positive or negative?
I think he likes them. They seem to be giving him some vision. He likes the tinting. I don't see that they're hurting the situation, and it's not a huge amount of accommodation. It's only -1. I can accommodate through, if I got it, I can accommodate through -1.
So if you were going to make a recommendation, would you recommend he keep the glasses on or not?
So,
for
Brian,
right now, I think I just leave it as it is
Okay, thanks.
and follow him.
Any other questions?
I think he's doing great in all of this, aren't you? Thank you for all these probably visits and checks and whatever. Mom and Dad are just concerned, and you heard. I think I'm agreeing with the doctor who's kind of waiting and seeing how you do, and who knows, maybe you don't need anything.
There you go.
Maybe not glasses either.
Has he ever had surgery before? Has he ever
No.
been under general anesthesia?
Well, he had one thing, but we won't talk
All
about
right, well, sometime they've had hernia or tubes or,
They had something very minor.
it. Minor something.
So,
Not associated with his head or anything.
So, I don't know, does that answer everything? I mean, that's
Yep.
what I think, you're on the right road. And,
I did want to know about the original prescription that was in Dr. Salavitz's paperwork there.
The chart here, let me just see what they, okay.
Is it in there or?
Yeah, we'll just, let me read it. X, and this is Cassidy. Refracted.
All the Cassidy notes are handwritten.
Monocular 2020.
Do you like that movie, Trevor? Well, how did we get to this? I thought we were watching a dragon
it's
movie.
kind of a little bit of a complicated thing. When he was first seen, he was plano, which is 0. And then before he was fit by glasses, he was evaluated by the second ophthalmologist and found to have -0.5, which means already a little bit nearsighted. And so the final prescription was -1. So it looks like there was some need for the glasses, not totally, but a little beginning nearsightedness, plus a little extra because of his condition with the exotropia. So it looks a little bit combined, quite frankly. And he might be, even if he didn't have this, he might be somebody who's going to have some mild nearsightedness,
Right.
just from the family.
I just hate for him to have to wear glasses before he needs to.
Well,
It's the only
so
thing.
that -0.5, what it means is that, well, if there was a question, you'd take away the glasses, you'd have it checked in 4 to 6 weeks, you'd see what the vision is without anything and re-refract. And, if it's -0.5 and his vision seems to be great and he has no complaints, then no glasses. If it's -3/4 and it gets him another line or two sharp, then he needs a pair of glasses. That's the only way you're going to solve it, but that's what happened. So
Okay.
the point, and you say, well, could he have been kind of nearsighted? Yes, because most kids are +1. And if you just take everybody that comes in here, they're +1. So even from the beginning, he was a little more on the minus side. So in what we see, he was already moving.
+1 is like a
nearsighted.
little bit better than 20/20 or something.
Well, +1 is farsightedness. You don't need glasses at all. So if I see somebody who's 0 or -0.5, I might know they perhaps genetically are going to be nearsighted. And as I see them, I'm not going to be surprised they're -1,
okay.
-1.5, and here are your glasses.
So 0 is not the norm. +1 is.
All the kids have a slightly smaller eye, and they're +1. He's developing a bigger eye, which is why he's a little bit nearsighted. Bigger mean the axle
Right.
length
So if you had to choose, you would recommend that he stay with the glasses on, just
at the moment.
especially for
But
the.
you don't see an issue with refracting.
No,
Just
I mean,
double check.
if Cassidy wanted to answer this once and for all, or to recheck it, he'd just remove it for 4 to 6 weeks. He'd re-refract and
Right.
So
go
you
from
would
there.
leave it up to Dr. Cassidy.
But you see, he said he kind of likes the transitions, right?
He
See,
seems
and
to
that's
really like
another
the
issue.
tinting,
Even
yeah.
if they were plano, nothing in there, he's
Well,
getting some benefit from it. I
He,
mean,
he doesn't seem to want to wear them. I mean, it's
Much of the
different at
time
different
he
houses.
doesn't.
Yeah, I say,
Okay,
do you want to
all
wear
right.
your glasses? No, I don't want to wear them.
and
So
he may
it's-
fall in that group that's really called optional.
Alright.
Some people
Trevor,
wear glasses. some
Trevor, do you
don't.
like to wear your glasses? Yeah.
He does. So he's probably getting a little bit that was added for the exotropia and a little bit for his nearsightedness. And he might tell you he sees just a tad sharper with this than he does without.
He seems to like the tinting a lot.
Well,
You know.
that's,
Okay.
how many people wear glasses just for the tint? They pick it
Well,
up
no,
with
we
the
don't- we don't, but,
Sunglass hut. Well, I know, but it's okay. You're allowed to wear that in school. Teachers are.
Oh yeah, they don't care. They don't care that you wear your
Does that
glasses.
sound
do they, Trevor?
reasonable?
Yep, sounds good.
Anything else comes up, you can always give a call. But I think I could. 10 years you're doing, Dr. Cassidy. It sounds okay to me.
All right, sounds good.
Maybe
Thank
you don't have
very
anything
much. Really
that
appreciate
needs to
your.
be done, or so good luck.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Did you have fun, Trevor?
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I know
Thanks
you're
for
getting
your
bored,
opinion.
so
I really appreciate
all right, no,
it.
absolutely,
Thank you.
but
Thank
it's
you.
not an easy subject. I
No.
wish I
No,
could
it's
point
not.
you to one. I just don't.
Did you like that
most-
dragon movie, Trevor?
All right, so you have a safe trip.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
nice day.
Thanks for your help. Appreciate it.